a lot.
Everybody wants to be, yeah, I know. And unfortunately on the internet and Google, it's the same stuff. You keep getting the same stuff over and over again. You know, you do need to get a proper book until they start scanning in this kind of thing. But there's no doubt that everybody wanted to mate with the king. So he had no problem procreating, that's for sure. Anyway, not surprisingly, he had another wife, probably several of them, but he had another wife from, I think, the king of Meath. I think the king of Meath, by the way, that would have been the High King. So he established a relationship with the king of Meath. In fact, Lyra was the son of the lion, the king of lion. In other words, probably the king of Meath. So that's how he became High King of Tara and High King of Ireland. So Niall, would have, sorry, not Niall, but Niall's father went on and married up. He kept marrying up each time. Well, I don't know. The one he brought in from England was, he probably fancied her or something. He probably liked her. Apparently, he did treat her very well. But he married, what was her name?
Mongfin, Mongfinn.
Was the daughter of the King of Meath, whose father, the mother of Lyra. Yeah, I forget.
I'm not sure if she was the mother of Lyra. There might have been another one.
Well, I know that it was the daughter of an important king, and because he became King of Meath and therefore High King, I suspect that he came from her family. I don't know, but I suspect, and that's kind of the way it would have worked. And there was great jealousy between. I see. Mongfinn. Well, Fionn would be here, So Mong.
Right.
Yeah. So it would be the fair-haired Mong. Yeah. Pardon? Yeah. Margaret printed this out for me, but I'm afraid I didn't read it. But it is a good. I read this stuff, but I see what you're saying. Mongfinn was jealous of her stepson Niall. She wanted Brian to succeed Achard. She didn't rest until she had Niall as an outcast and his mother reduced down to servant. The mother, the Catherine from England. But as Niall entered manhood, he was returned to the court and welcomed by his father. One of his first acts was to restore his mother to her rightful place. Niall underwent many tests and did excellent on every one. So you did have to earn your stripes. He must have been a very gifted man, as indeed was Niall. Niall, the last one we did. The great O'Neill, but not Hugh. Oh, what's his name? No, not Hugh. Not Hugh. But the one we did last. What was his first name? Yeah, no, but no, not Hugh. Shane. Thank you. As Shane. Shane was an extraordinarily gifted human being. I mean, an extraordinarily gifted human being, and obviously it ran in the genes because Niall would have been an extraordinarily gifted man. Now, again, when you think of it, a very powerful king like Modon, I'll explain that name in a minute to you. His father was obviously a very powerful king and a very great king, and he would have had sons running around like God knows, like by the dozen. He would have lots of sons, and he obviously would have a good eye for who was going to be worth a damn. So there was obviously some real weaklings and some great promising ones. So you can be 100% certain that Niall rose to prominence because he was outstanding in all of the skills. He was a very fine specimen of a man who would make a great warrior and so on. Brian, who was probably also, it must have been fiercely competitive. If you were one of dozens and maybe hundreds of potential heirs to the throne, and you all had the blood, and you were all acknowledged as being son of Niall, or son of the big king, and that it's kind of like Saudi Arabia today. There's like how many princes? Hundreds and hundreds of these princes, right? So if there's an outstanding one, and everybody's saying this, the older one's saying, "Ah, yeah, but that fella is like really extraordinarily well." So it was a great system when you think about it. That the likelihood of a very strong individual succeeding his father, who would have been a very strong individual, was a great system, really, in a way, because he would be likely then to go on and do the same thing, to form lots of relationships and have lots of sons with, what would I say, diplomatic arrangements with other kings and so on. So if there is such thing as breeding, and breeding so that it's breeding for the purposes of breeding powerful leaders, they had a pretty decent system. Let me see now if I'm missing anything of importance. The thing that I like the most, the thing that interests me the most, is the idea. My vision of him is having got Ireland absolutely under his sway, and not necessarily because of the sword, but because everybody likes a strong leader, and under a strong leader, the cows give better milk, the crops grow better. I mean, they actually, no, there's a reason why it happens, but they actually attribute, if you read the old stories and the annals, they will say that the honey was great, everything was wonderful during his reign. Now, nobody was about to upset that. And of course, the reason was because the energies of the people were going into those things. But of course, they attributed to some magic power or whatever that. Pardon?
Stress levels.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the people in the valleys and the villages knew that there was a guy called Niall who was the big king, and since he went up on that throne, and since he's been the king, boy, I tell you, the hens lay 2 eggs a day, the cows can be milked 2 or 3 times, the corn ripens early, and you could almost put in a second crop, and that's what mattered to them, those people, so that they could have a nice, relaxed winter, and they didn't have to worry too much, except go out, get the turf, put the fire on, and get the dinner ready, plenty of everything. So therefore, the orderliness and the productivity of the land that's all they cared. That's what they cared about. And if a powerful king kept everybody in line and from fighting and arguing with themselves, or arguing with each other and burning each other's crops and destroying each other, so you can see why they would look up to a person like that, and how they would watch all that very carefully that was going on, and encourage the other kings, their king, to be nice to the one man above him, who would be nice to the guy. So all the indications are that throughout the early centenaries of the first millennia as we know it. In other words, 100, 200, 300 AD, 400 AD, Ireland seemed to have prosperous and seemed to be doing very well. Going back before Niall's father, there was a succession of very powerful and very kings. What do you call the guy? Art.
The Lonely.
Art the Lonely, was it? Oh my God! Listen to her. He was a great lawgiver.
Up on it.
Did you? He left a mark, and Art was then there was Cormac MacArt, who was a great king, and so on. So when you read those periods, they seem to have done very well, and they built roads across Ireland and what have you. Now, on the other hand, England was in decline. I mean, the island of Britain was it had been largely destroyed by the Romans and hadn't really recovered. So the Irish raids, as we tend to have been told, but remember now, they're coming through a British lens, where they would have depicted these Irish kings coming across to England as being savages. And I will never forgive, what the heck's the name of the actor, the American actor, who did Sheriff of Nottingham thing, and he had them diving out of trees and hanging down in the air. Kevin Costner. I do. Pardon?
What movie was
It's
that?
Robin Hood movie.
Robin Hood movie.
Prince of Thieves.
Huh?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Was it? Well, anyway, you know, he had, because he wanted to make his movie in the English, said, well, yeah, as long as